looking at your build. So let me see if I can pop that up. It usually takes it a second once I hit the magic button to detect. There it is. All right. So some characteristics of the Lenin before we get into your build, right? The biggest thing that people need to understand about the Lenin is you really can't show broadside. It absolutely evaporates when showing broadside to an enemy battleship or a cruiser up close and personal. Keep that in mind. She's got three triple turrets that are all in the bow, which makes her very comfortable for positioning in places. And I think one of the important skills about the Lenin is knowing when to stop and use an island as your shield next to you. You can absolutely lock down channels that way. Um, so yeah, so those are the main characteristics. Also, because she doesn't have any main guns in the rear, she's kind of difficult to play as a kiting away ship. You can try, but her rear is flat, so they trap a lot of shells. You'll get a lot of penetrations in the rear. And in addition to that, you really can't fire back very easily unless you turn your entire ship. So she's really best played as a bow-on monster with reversing when necessary and avoiding avoiding giving broadsides. All right, so let's take a look at your build then, Blue Falcon. You've got with you main armaments modification 1, damage control system modification 1, aiming systems 1, damage control, concealment. Everything you'd want to have in a Russian battleship. I see nothing, concerning there. Russian battleships, of course, they've got their fast damage control party, so there's a limited number of charges. Falcon, is this a special captain?
Yes, it is. It's Nikolai Kutsanov.
I figured it would be as much. We like to call him OP Zov here, or Crutch Zov, if you will. The nice thing about him is his talents, of course. If you get First Blood, you get an extra charge, which is important because that gives you 1 extra DCP as well, of course, as your heal. And then if you get quite low, that little red flare pops up and basically is a middle finger to the entire enemy team. Says, aha, you can't kill me. Start a passive heal, you get an automatic DCP, and on top of that, you're harder to hit for however many seconds, the duration of that. So, all right, let's look at your build for the captain. You've got emergency repair specialist. You've got grease the gears, basic survivability, vigilance, fire prevention, adrenaline rush, party targets, and then emergency repair. So this, of course, gets you an extra charge of repair party and damage control party, which comes in very handy. So you went for a very survivability setup here.
Yes, absolutely. I want to be able to tank when I got a tank and survive as long as I can.
Okay. There's a couple of things to consider. This is I think this is a fine build. Vigilance. If you find yourself taking a lot of torpedoes, and this is a player-specific decision. If you find yourself taking a lot of torpedoes, it makes sense to run vigilance. Helps with hydro-equipped battleships even more so, but at least it helps you see the torps, dodge them, take less. Quickie, I'm not sure off the top of my head if I'm the one that covered a Lenin game that got 11 kills out of 12. Grease the gears is useful. Priority target, I always like priority target. But you have an opportunity. Gonna modify your build for 1 second, change that to incoming fire alert, gives you some awareness at least, but then you also have the ability to take improved repair party readiness. So basically, as your ship gets more and more potential damage, then you get quicker replacement of your repair party. If you're sitting bow on, people are shooting at you for a long time, this gets your heal back up quicker. So it's just a consideration. I'm not saying that that's better than what you've picked, but it's a consideration. Alternately, you could also drop both of those and go with Concealment Expert. That wouldn't be a bad idea either. It depends on how you play the ship. If you're playing it without concealment expert, what is your concealment? Let's see. 14 and a half. So you're talking about a difference of that and 13. So 1.5 kilometers. It's okay. If you're playing without concealment expert, then you want to try to play closer to islands anyway to block line of sight, and then of course later block who can hit you and stuff. And then for signals, you've chosen. All right, so you are not running all of them. I'm guessing you're trying to conserve on some credits and stuff.
Correct.
Okay, because obviously Julia Charlie is huge. For a Russian battleship, ramming flag is always a go-to signal. The rest of these, fire extinguishing, flood reduction, fuel boosting, ship speed, and consumable prep, all good choices for the Russian battleship line. Beyond those, I don't think you really care to take anything else. So just these two really are the most important two. You could maybe go for a little bit of extra anti-air, but I don't know if that really matters that much. Okay. Well, let's get into your game and see how the game plays out. I've got to go ahead and go into settings. And I need this.
I am running my paid actor signal as well.
Excellent.
Бой начинается!
Sorry, just talking real quick about the upcoming tournament. So, Tier 9 game, your middle tier. There's a carrier involved. You are by yourself. Alright, so what's your plan of action here, Falcon?
Well, pretty much I want to cover the Kagero and hold this flank at all costs. That's what I'm thinking initially at the onset of the game. So I've got going to push out here to the 910 line, bow in, and hold what I got.
Okay.
If you can see, I requested that the Azuma stick around and not lemming train to the west.
So, on this map, there's two places that I think are good for you to start initially. One is the big island at Gulf 8, and two is exactly where you're going. As I mentioned, the importance of covering your broadside in this ship, going to the edge of the map, does exactly that for you.
And if you notice, I'm kind of watching my my detectability ring right there, and trying to keep it at the edge of the cap point so I can get out a little wider and then bow in. That's my plan here.
Right, and that's smart too. You're heading a little bit south just to be sure that you don't get hit and smacked. Somebody earlier asked me what cruiser is on my head. I tried to zoom in so I could see it. I can't, so I'm going to just take it off my head real quick. What were you going to say, sir?
I was going to say I switched to HE to protect the Kagero. I figured the first thing we're going to see is a DD pushing into Charlie.
I think you're right. Guys, that looks to me like it's a Hindenburg. Pretty sure it's a Hindenburg. Anyway, I love it. It says, Cruiser main, my citadel is none of your damn business. Anyway. It's a hat that Sea Raptor would really enjoy. Now, you playing farther back here is going to pay dividends because that Paulo Emilio has to go through that Kagero to try to get to you. And he... Oh, well, rip your CAG. Now, if you're fortunate, you can get the Paulo to come after you, Looks like he's gonna back off though. That's the smart play for the Apollo if he's already blown his smoke and used his Inky. But you guys are down 2 ships already now. That's kind of oof. You were thinking he was gonna turn northward immediately?
Yeah, I was.
Okay. Well, alright, so you've lost your destroyer over at C Cap. Your Pobeda is leaving the area and going to A, which you guys haven't even gotten yet, which is kind of scary to think of. And so
The Algeria and Alzuma are hauling butt towards the west, and I'm like, okay, well, I've always been trained and taught to hold the flank at all costs, so that's my intention here.
Okay.
I'm requesting they stick around, and you'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it's a good idea to hold the flank, but I would also try to say something to your teammates and get them to stick around. I think that would help a lot too. Okay, so Johan de Whale kills the Fletcher with a Dutch oven. That's good. And the Rosia lets a fire burn. Kind of nice of him.
So I've got range on that battleship, and I'm concerned that the Pablo's pushing me outside his detect range, so I'm kind of backing up a little bit slowly. So I have a little bit more time to react in case he keeps pushing.
That's smart. I was going to mention that too. You can either... I would either be reversing or stopping, and you can maybe go back and forth between that. I don't think you want to go forward and then try to reverse.
Right, if you could see by the, you saw by the chat, I have requested support, but the Algeria and Alzuma are bailing on me.
Sees nuts, we might not have a chance to get to your replay. We'll have to see because I've got this tournament at 3 o'clock, and I'm not sure if we'll be continuing or not afterwards. Let's keep that in mind. Yeah, so now you are completely alone.
So my idea is here is I'm going to cover the flank. If that battleship I'm shooting at now decides to push westward, I'll switch to AP and try to hit them on the side and just hold the flank. That's what I'm intended to do, trying to do.
Well, the important thing is, by doing this, you're keeping that Rosia from doing what he wants to do. And
all right, I'm switching to AP now. Yep.
I noticed that. Yeah, you saw him turning out, and I think you need to gift this guy paid actor flag. Your aim is a little bit high, but if he's going to turn out, he is turning out. So there you go. That's fine. Maybe waited a little bit too long there. 2 bounces. No, you didn't, Big O. We're doing it next. Am I streaming? I'm not sure. They released the document and then they changed it. Paulo in front of you. Okay, forget him. Forget him. Paulo's the bigger threat.
Yep. This is when the
HE.
vigilance. This is when the vigilance comes into handy right here.
Yeah. Switch to HE maybe, or yeah. There
I
you
think
go.
I was a little. I think I switched, but I was a little concerned that my timer wouldn't come about in time. So I'm backing up, trying to keep my bow towards him.
The nice thing is where you're at, you're gonna hit the edge of the map and possibly screw up his torpedo salvo.
Now, I do launch a fighter just to see if it'll help with spotting. I don't know if it actually works or not, but
No, it won't help with spotting him. So he's trying to see if you're gonna. He's trying to bait you to shoot him early. You fired a little bit early there. Get your gun up. Get your gun up. Get your gun up. Oh, you panicked. All right, DCP. You're on fire and flood, so you might as well. There it is. If you had kept your focus on the target there, you would have gotten him. The other thing is, I think you fired your first salvo just a tad too early.
Неполадки устранены.
But
Yeah, he's sitting at 49 health points, and I'm like, oh hell! But he finally went down.
he didn't even shoot you. I'm surprised he didn't even shoot you, because he might as well. Oh well. Okay, well, now that threat is gone. And you being on the border, though, is what saved your life, because you completely limited his ability to use the other torpedoes, right? Although, honestly, I'm surprised he wouldn't just full speed turn and use the other side, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So now comes the part where you gotta get off the border and get moving.
So yeah, I see the split. Okay, well, I'm like, oh, he's only got 1,000 hit points left, so I'm not too concerned about him. So I'm gonna start pushing towards the cap.
I'd still take a shot at the split right now anyways, just because you want to get him off. There's nobody else for you to shoot at anyway. Okay, he dies.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to heal up too. As soon as that healing was available, I took it.
Which is good.
And I wanted to stay a little dark while I was doing that.
Mm-hmm. HE is definitely what I'd be shooting right now, and I agree with your kicking over to the right. I was just going to mention that too. You've got nothing preventing you from going up that 899. I wouldn't go straight up to 10, because if you look at the minimap, the breast is right barely within your gun range and low health. So that would be a really good opportunity for you. Just about into range. I think you're looking more at the Rosia right now, though. I'd probably go for the breast first, just to get him off the board. I think he's a bigger threat than this Rosia. Rosia hasn't really been doing much that makes me think he's, you know, that much of a threat. Breast is burning, so he'll probably die anyway. But yeah, kick to the right so you can use your third turret on the Rosia there. That would take him down a little bit sooner. Heal. Here's the thing you got to be thinking about: what happens after this Rosia is dead? Where do you go next? You're going to want to go to C next, right? I mean, they're up on points, you need the cap, there's a breast nearby, so you continuing this direction is going to waste you a whole lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I could basically tell the Rosia was going for the ram, and this kind of upset me a little bit. You can see by the chat.
Yeah, but you know what? You actually could have prevented that ram had you kept turning northward, because your third turret would have gotten in on that. You might have gotten another, you know, a citadel, or at least some good pens. You do that with 2 more salvos, or you know, the 2 salvos you had on him. That could have been a dead Rosia before the ram happened. Even here, if you turn just a little bit more, you'd get that rear turret out, and you'd be hitting him before completely heals up. That being said, he's dead anyway. I mean, your front 2 turrets here are just gonna explode him. There they go.
Крейсер противника уничтожен.
Добро.
Now they're telling you to cap C, as if that wasn't your plan all along.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Команда противника близка к победе.
I can get stream raiders going while we are screen. Let's do that.
Добро.
So at this point, it's a Takahashi, a Chumfan, and a Pobeda. What's up, Weekend Warrior? How you doing? Happy Sunday. So there's really not much for you to be concerned about, except maybe the Pobeda. But...
And I was fortunate he didn't come over and try to single me out, but maybe it was his positioning during the whole game. I haven't really been focusing on where the enemy CV's been doing.
I mean, his last spotted is Bravo 6-7 heading away. Mike, I would expect... I would not expect to see the Pobeda focusing the middle of the map right now with torpedo bombers. I would have expected him to be on the Dyson because he's got the Chumfan and the Takahashi right there. And the two... and together, all of them will absolutely take down that Dyson, who is currently too busy fighting with his team. So that's oof. Now here's where you might... Well, nah, shoot. I don't know. You could stop and just get the cap before firing again, in case the Takahashi turns and shoots back at you, but there's 20 seconds until you get the cap. I think you'll be... Nope, you're instantly being targeted by the Taka. But, honestly, even if you don't get this cap, I don't think it matters much. Oh, good dodge.
Наша команда близка к победе.
Пять минут до конца боя.
Okay, so you want to try to finish off the Pobeda.
Цель произвел.
Now the Pobeda cares about you, right? Because you're so close.
Das war ein großartiges Gefecht.
Little in front of him. That's alright though, he's doing the dodgy stuff. The phone goes down, so it's literally just him and the done deal.
Торпеды прямо по курсу.
Switch to HE?
Возвращаюсь на корабль.
What was the decision behind switching to HE there?
I think he was heading north initially, and I didn't have time to. And then he went eastward where I would have had a broadside shot on him. So now I'm switching. Yeah.
So, with the Japanese light cruisers in general, their armor scheme is such utter garbage. You can absolutely pen him if he's angling with AP. So I wouldn't have switched. I would have just kept AP the whole time. Hey, Wolf. That would also give you the flexibility to get him if he turns, you know, if he does turn broadside again, but it doesn't matter at this point in the game, and it's all over, right?
It just seemed like the Sigma on that Lenin battleship. I haven't played much battleships, been focusing on DDs, but it just seems like the dispersion at further range is really bad. I was having a hard time hitting anything. I was above and below on all my volleys, most of them.
Would you believe that that is actually a trait of the Russian battleship line? So, you know, generally, these kinds of ships do really well up close. But the farther away you are from your target, the harder it's going to be to hit them. And that's just the trait of this line. And I'm pretty sure Lenin is the same way. I'd have to look at a dispersion chart, but... Anyway, let's take a look at your score. You came in second place. So, not bad at all, considering how much of that time you were literally just kind of slowly reversing because of this Paulo Emilio's attempt to nail you.
Yeah, it was one of those games for naval battles. I just thought, hey, I'll take the Lenin out. I haven't played that in a while, and that's the match it turned into be.
Yeah, I mean it's a good match altogether. Um, I felt like it was a very solid one. You didn't have a lot of opportunities to smack people. The only real feedback I can give you that I would do differently is when that AL Rosia was like behind the island. If you had kept on going straight to sea, um, you probably would have gotten into that cap 30 seconds to a minute earlier. You would have killed the breast earlier. Rosia, you might have gotten that kill on. I don't know. It depends on how, you know, timing would have worked on that. But you'd have at least had your third turret to shoot at him, too. If he was out there. Oh, Steve's getting up.
That's crazy. I'm not that familiar with the Lenin, and I wasn't paying attention, but so I wasn't even turned enough for my third turret to fire. That's good to know.
Yes, that's correct. I'll try to highlight it on the replay when we get to it on the render here.
Yeah, well, because all three of them being up front, the icons all light up. That's what I thought, but I wasn't even paying attention that all three weren't engaging.
Yep. And chat, by the way, last chance to enter the giveaway. I'm going to ask Kitten to go ahead and do that draw. We are doing the Azure Lane containers, and that's actually perfect. We're right at 100 people. So exclamation point ticket is what you want to type. Absolutely. Here comes that Paulo charge on you.
Yeah, that's what was crazy. That's what decided me to send this replay in. I just thought it was funny.
Right. If you go back, and it was, if you go back and you follow, like, your guns and stuff like that, you didn't even realize that you had a third turret available, it looked like, until after you had fired at it, and then, like, you're just sitting there laughing at the fact that he's right next to you, and then you're like, oh crap, I've got a gun. And then you got so excited, you, like, derped him into the water. Alright, so I paused it on the render right here. At this point, your guns almost reach the breast. Rosia is going to come out broadside to you. I would just continue, like, dead ahead. You're going to head into C-cap, you're going to get closer to the breast on range, and you're going to get a shot on the Rosia broadside shot. You may need to kick your rudder out right a little bit just to try to get your third turret out, but right there, I think that's the only real feedback I can give you that I would definitely do differently here. You turn instead. You see how you turn straight at the Rosia? You start smacking him, but again, you're only smacking him with your front turret. So that's one salvo.
Mm-hmm.
There's your second salvo. And then the ram's going to happen before your third gets there. Now, if you were heading straight ahead, that would be essentially 6 more barrels you would have put into him. Right? Which is the equivalent of another of your third salvo. So, if you had kept on going north, you might have actually prevented that ram.
I got you. I'm tracking what you're saying. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Hey, DG. Yeah, I appreciate all your support and everything, man. I really do, and it's good to be able to help you out by looking at a replay like this. And hey, we'll put this on YouTube, and we'll help a lot of people out probably. All right. Well, that pretty much does it for that battle. Also, I would say the other big thing would be just stay with AP. HE early is fine. HE on the Paulo is fine. But otherwise, you might as well just keep APing everything. You switch your ammo types a lot, though. And if that's something that it's just a habit that you've got, then you may want to consider going gun feeder for the first point in your captain skills instead of emergency repair specialist. That could help you a lot too.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
All right. Well, hey, thanks again. And we'll move on to the next replay. Sound good?
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.